Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, generals and admirals. This is General Johnny coming at you one more time with, you already know, another battle analysis. But before we start today's awesome battle analysis, where we're going to focus on CAV and the effective use of CAV, a quick word to those that may be new to the channel. My name is General Johnny. I just started this YouTube channel, General Johnny Strategy, where I apply real-time strategy tips to real-time strategy games. Right now, I'm going to be focusing on Napoleon Total Warfare 3. So if you enjoy the sounds of musket fire and cannonballs, and specifically CAV charges in this video, then you've come to the right place. Kick back and relax and enjoy the commentary. If you're also an avid RTS player like myself and want to know how real strategy can be used to up your game in games like Napoleon Total Warfare 3, then you have also, my friend, come to the right location. So now you're all caught up on what this channel is. We are going to focus today on Leipzig North 1803. This is a TOW match, so Theater of War match. It's going to be 36 points on each side. We have, and we'll go over the armies on both of those sides now. We have the Prussia 10 point, 1806 over on the left flank. In the center, we have Austria, Österreich, 1809, 10 point. All right, that will be myself. And then in the very middle, ahead of me, is going to be 9 point UK Portugal 1811. That's an awesome faction. And then to our far right, moving back to the center now, is 1809 10 point UK Portugal España. All right. So now we've got all the coalition teams, and I wish I could go through the Imperial, but just know they're also 36 points, and they are a conglomeration of other Imperial armies. Again, we will be focusing on cavalry. So how to effectively use cavalry in a game like this. This is actually probably one of the perfect examples of how to effectively use cavalry. So out front here we have our 10 point 1809 Österreich cavalry. These are C4s, so this is going to be the highest classification. I think they did away with C5s, correct me if I'm wrong. The 9.6 version, I think they updated it to basically get rid of C5s and lump it in with C4s, but that might not be the case. They might actually have that classification. I know the top speeds still vary, so there's very specific, but the general thing you need to know is the faster the CAV, the further out in front you can put it for obvious reasons. So if that cavalry gets caught up or anything like that, they can have the flexibility to really just fall back and not get pretty much CAV sniped, is kind of what it's called. And as you go back further in your lines, you should have things like C3, so a little bit lower classification on speed, but a lot higher classification on things like melee and defense, but not always, because there are, and these specifically are some pretty good light cav. And then if you go all the way back here, you're going to have your C1s, Crucier. So those are very heavy armored, heavy cav, okay? Oh, yep, there they are. A lot of times they will be, you can tell them by their armored plates, okay? So with that being said, they're going to be the slowest cav. Alright, so without further ado, already we have a little bit, and this is what we call cav play. Alright, so out front we have these light units, alright? Like I was talking about further out ahead. Okay, so they're a lot more flexible. You can see them running back and forth. They don't get exhausted as easily. And at this point, I know this cav, and I know my cav's a little bit spazzy here, but that's all right. My cav can beat this cav. And how you say, hey, how do you know that specifically? Well, if you take a look at these, and the more you play this game, the more you'll be able to identify exactly what units. But yeah, so this is some pretty cheap cav. All right, looks like some lancers over here, and they got that first charge bonus on that cavalry that was kind of overextended Okay, so way too overextended for what kind of quality CAV they had. So we went ahead and charged that, got the charge bonus, and then my guys, very high C4, spent about 1,000 coin on these things. All right, came in to mop up. And keep in mind, we're cycling in and out this CAV, right? In and out, making sure we get that charge bonus, making sure we're not charging into our own forces because, and I mean, look at that. That CAV just got that probably killed the entire unit. I don't think there was a single horseman, cavalry. Oh, there he is, the lone rider riding off. I don't even know if that might not even be, but yep, they got away. Yeah, it looks like that's the enemy, so they got real lucky. But you can see how devastating that is. That is the result of cycling in and out this light cav. Okay, so if you're French, if you're on the Imperial side of this, all right, don't overextend. You're way too far out and from your guns. You're way too far out from, you know, maybe this cav could have came in and probably crushed this cav. So just be smart about where you're positioning your cav first off. And that was some really good cav battle cycling. You can see I barely lost. I've lost 8 figures on the first unit and 5 figures on the second one, so really negligible. They lost, as you saw, an entire unit here, and then additionally some other units. So think about 2 or 3 cav out of that first exchange. And even the British guys that were helping out there, so the British Portugal or UK Portugal nation that was helping out with that CAVs, they still have it, so they can still effectively use that on things like gen sniping or artillery sniping, so they didn't lose that unit completely. So good thing to note. All right, so that's a lot of the light cav play right now, and then as you can see, it has free roam here to really just scout in its lane, okay, and identify where the enemy is setting up. Because if these guys weren't here, you really wouldn't have any visual on any of these units, on this cav unit, on this. You know, you'd see the general, but you wouldn't see a lot of this stuff. You might not even see that line or even some of this cav back here. So that's what scouting, and that's one of the main purposes of cav in this game, is to scout forward so that you can see what's going on. Because if not, you're going to be behind the fog of war and you're not going to know how to approach the enemy. Another, you know, thing that it does is it provides security. So, and these are all real things that CAV does even today, providing security for this main body. So as you saw, they have their own reconnaissance moving forward, their own scouts moving forward, and we just destroyed them. So we cut off that unit, not only diminishing what they can use to hurt us, but what they can use to determine what we are using and scouting for the enemy. So kind of, you know, gouge their eyes out, not to be too brutal or grotesque, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we did there. Obviously they have this cav, and you can tell that, you know, they're kind of creeping up, thinking about, hey, maybe we should be charging, and it looks like we have a cavalry charge from the French here. They're going for the lights. So lights, or rather cavalry, really counters those lights. But you got to think about this. How much are these worth? I don't know exactly. I think they're only about 100 coin. And here we go. They're running straight into the line. So you traded 100 coins for, I mean, most cheap cav, especially for the French, is like 300 at very least. So that's 300 to 100 trade. I'll take that all day. And here we are cycling in and out of our cav. You know, here the French are, and let me change this sound real quick. If this ever happens to you, just gotta change. Alright, that comes in and out, and then you'll be good to go. But as you can see, I'm keeping my distance from this line, and it's really, if anything, hurting the friendly, because friendly fire here on their own cab. But I'm cycling in and out. We have friendly line in range. So again, another example of a cav charge, unsupported cav charge, that's kind of just deflected fairly easily. And then here you go again. This player might be getting a little bit anxious, right? He wants to get into the fight, and he's moving up his cav, thinking that, you know, generally we say that UK Portugal has terrible cav, which it really does, especially compared to the French cav. But this is still not going to work. Why is it not going to work? And maybe he's even going for these guns back here, which I understand. Why is this not going to work? Because you have this infantry that is more than likely going to be able to square. So that's going to provide a morale boost, which I know right now they're kind of rear charging their own guys and shooting their own cav in the butt, which is not great, which is why you see this dip, okay? But they're still going to be tied up, right? Still going to be shot at, and that's why even their morale is dropping. So he already broke one unit there. He's probably going to break a second one. Just checking over on the left flank, make sure anything else happened. But that's a huge cav charge, and honestly, UK Portugal only lost 3. Keep in mind their units are a lot cheaper. So, and France, okay, the Imperial side lost at least 2. Okay, now a lot of these guys will end up coming back to the fight. Okay, deciding to come back, but that exchange was about even, I would say. But it could have ended up if UK Portugal had kind of set up a little bit better. He was probably under duress too. Over here, I mean, he did a fairly good job. There's a few other things like not shooting his own units that he could have done a little bit better, but generally that was a fair exchange, so, you know, not too upset. And at the end of the day, he retained his guns. He's keeping his army on the move and really, you know, moving to where they need to be in the battlefield. So I would say that was a successful security of their main body performed by the CAV with the infantry. So very good job there. All right, I'm going to draw your attention over here. So that was a CAV skirmish, really good there. All right, we had a CAV skirmish in the middle. Okay, and then we have CAV back here. We have some C3s and a C1 and then another C3. So again, protecting those guns. So the best thing to do with your CAV, if it's something like a C1 or a C3, is just position around the cannons until they're ready to be used, right? And then you can walk up some other ones to support the infantry, just in case, you know, they send in those cavalry charges into your infantry to harass them. Then you have something to counter that. Or if they try to artillery snipe you, right, with their cavalry, then you can send up your C3s, C1s, and it'll crush any counterattack. They won't stand a chance. So that's why they're hanging out here. And then anytime that you bring, notice here, cavalry, and this is some awesome gunfire in the middle right here, by the way, okay, keep in mind too, just a real quick point, cavalry is so fragile to gunfire. So that's why, and it works both ways, because like you said, or like I said, they have friendly fire in this game, and it's very important. Okay, here we go, another cav charge. So this one's a little bit better, but I don't know why you would be basically charging into unsupported. This is what we call unsupported. It's the only thing here. Yeah, you have other cav units here, you have some infantry here, but it's just one lone cav unit attacking into infantry, and a cav unit that's also going to help, you know, deflect that. So they pretty much gave up. They sacrificed that unit for pretty much nothing, okay? And a lot of people get antsy. They think, oh, I need to rush. You know, they're moving up. I need to really kind of whittle down some of these guys. Well, hey, it's not any good. And yes, I know this. So another little mechanic here. If your cavalry makes a unit route, more times than not, they will continue the charge and follow up that route, pursue the enemy. You've really got to pull it off, and that's just what happened there. I was probably microing a little bit over here or whatever, and just kind of lost track of that, you know, thing that happens, and that happens sometimes. But at the end of the day, still a successful counter charge. That unit probably wasn't a full 1,000, it was probably 700, and we already got some good use out of it. So, you know, not a terrible job. Could have been done better by myself. But all right, here we go over here on the C3s and okay, so both of these are C3s, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. All right, if this was just infantry fighting all of this cav and some of the supporting infantry, all right, a little bit better job here, then these guys would not be well off. All right, so this cavalry can really flank them, but instead now we're countercharging. We're getting a lot of those kills. So again, 2 units of cav just got melted by 2 units of C3s. So that's a more than fair exchange for the coalition side here, and we retained our infantry. So yeah, this was a pretty decent job as well. If I was them, I don't know if sending these guys in would have helped anything. I don't think it was. It would have. Probably would have caused their own guys to fight a little bit longer and get a little bit more kills, but I don't think that he would have made them rout or anything. It would have been a little bit close, but not too close. And then here, okay, big point, because it looks like they're about to initiate an attack on this side. I mean, look, this is just not a good area to advance your CAV, okay? So you're getting shot. You can't really, you can go through these things, I believe. Like, this isn't going to stop them at the end of the day, I don't think. Yep. Oh, wait, it might. It actually might. So they might have to go around. Yep, it looks like they do have to go around that. But look at this. This is not a good channel. I mean, that's not going to be an effective charge into really squares, and they're just really kind of sitting there. So that's not a good use of CAV, which it's good to know what not to do in this context. So here we go again. France is again charging this infantry, and again we're going to reposition. Make sure that if you're going to use this CAV to, you know, counter a charge, it doesn't always have to be immediately like, hey, we lost that unit there. But if I had rear charged into, and what I mean by rear charge is quite literally taking my cavalry and charging into the back of a friendly unit, that would have caused the same, if not more, damage than what happened here, and all of that charge bonus from the cavalry would have gone straight into friendly forces, not into the enemy. So my morale is pretty low here with the CAV, so that's why I'm kind of retreating. We already got, I wouldn't say a fair exchange, I'd say France definitely got the better of that, but I'm going to retreat over here with my CAV that's still healthy, and then some of these guys will actually come back. Like a lot of this British infantry will come back. That CAV might even come back, but probably not. On this side, by the way, you can see what's going on here. Alright, they just got decimated because, again, they got a little too antsy and just charged into this well-defended town. So, not a great look thus far by the Imperial forces, but here we go. So after we've deflected a lot of their CAV, and as you win these CAV battles, understand your enemy is going to have a lot less CAV to counter your CAV. So it becomes easier and easier to, instead of charging into fresh line units, right, to use that CAV. And again, they're just suiciding more CAV, more and more and more CAV into, and look, they're even killing some of their own routing units with that, with them running, and for really nothing, because they're not going to be able to do anything against these squares, anything against anything they have. Maybe there is a, no, that's the French general. I was about to say maybe they're going for a gin snipe, and that's another thing. Here I am actually with the Austrian CAV trying to gin snipe him here, so that's what that was. And then you'll see this unit really just, they call it is farming. So I'm farming these units, but there's actually a purpose to it, kind of. So a lot of these units, if you don't run them down and, you know, pursue them and kill them as they retreat, a lot of them will come back. Like I've seen units all the way out here in the outskirts of the map come all the way back and join the fight and actually have an impact on the battle. So you don't want that happening. So I have my light CAV, the fast CAV, that can kind of chase down multiple units going and doing that. So over here on the flank, so I hope we didn't mischarge. Okay, we did not. And a little bit of spoiler alert, there is a charge. There is a real nice charge coming here soon. All right, so that's that dragoon that got basically destroyed when they were protecting the infantry, but that's okay. Some of these infantry units, I believe these are infantry units that routed, by the way, so that CAV unit not only saved them from being decimated, but also saved them, and now they're back in action, or will be in action shortly here. So again, on this side, great line battle. Let's check that out for a second. Let's get a good volley in here. Just listen in to the battle. Looks like they're reloading the muskets as we talk right now. Okay, a little bit of advance. And there you go. That's some of the good musket fire into the enemy. Oh, into the enemy CAV too. And look how vulnerable they are. I mean, they just got decimated. They didn't even barely, I mean, I bet they lost like 3 dudes and this CAV is going to rout and probably not return because they're again shooting into their own CAV as it retreats, and that's going to hurt them even more. So they are so delicate to muskets, so you just got to be aware where you're putting your CAV at all times. Doesn't matter if you're charging or moving. Like, this is okay. He got like 1 or 2 maybe here, probably just 1, because we know that they can, most line can only shoot about 70 meters. Okay, meters, the metric system, not the imperial system. So all right, so they can only shoot about 70 meters, so I know that. And when I'm really maneuvering this, I'm keeping that 70-meter distance at least. So here I am. I realize that a lot of their CAV is gone. They still have this CAV, but I feel like I could. So I outrun it over here, kind of just to penetrate their lines. This is a gap, and they have to either commit their CAV and leave other portions, which is kind of what we meant to do here too, is draw attention over this CAV, draw it away, so that these big heavy hitters over here, the C1s, up armored, plated cavalry, can go. And you see here I got a little bit nervous because they don't have the greatest morale, especially making this run to the back, but we ended up all right. We didn't charge, we just got in position and got away from the enemy so that we can use this later. Now we're behind enemy lines, we can attack their general over here, we can rear charge a bunch of infantry, do a bunch of awesome things. So now I'm repositioning my C1. So basically they are softening up. That's what they're doing, is they're softening up the French lines here. In the very middle, you know, they are just decimating some of these line infantries. Okay, all across. Once they get to about 1.5, 2 lines, really 2 lines, that's when they start really thinning out, and the morale is already real low, right? So now all we have is these C1s, which are already effective. They could probably take on a full unit as long as it doesn't square, right? They could take on a full healthy unit of infantry, but if we send this in, which we're about to, spoiler alert, we're gonna crush this infantry. So, and as you can see, he left gaps, so you don't want to be running straight through your infantry. Yeah, if it overlaps a little bit, that's okay, but you really want to leave those gaps and not commit a run through here. And you're gonna charge into the infantry. As you can see, that just does, they had no chance. They can't even, if they can square at this point, they lose that ability once they hit a certain unit size. So those guys all run, and now the mass rout is probably about to ensue. Not quite yet, but we just punctured and split their line in half. So there's a lot of problems for the Imperial units at this point. They know that. They have free roaming, very heavy CAV behind their lines. I can charge into infantry. I choose to try taking out their general and destroying their morale. That's what I end up trying to do, which again, they countercharge it into the side, and I almost lose this guy right off the bat. But once they get into actual melee, they survive that first shock, they start winning this pretty handedly. So they're not going to be able to defeat those guys without losing themselves. So they do defeat them, but I caused the general to rout. I also caused another unit to rout, and that in itself probably, this could have probably done a lot more damage, and that's why countercharging is so important there, because it did not cause more damage than it did. But it punctured the lines, we got back, we destroyed their general, or at least made them rout, and destroyed some other CAV, took away the micro, and now we're just advancing that line and just applying that pressure to an already thin line. And that CAV's probably not coming back, but that's besides the point. Again, I still have that CAV unit back over there that is waiting to do pretty much the same thing. Gen snipes, maybe some rear charges into the line, whatever we feel is going to be effective. And then we have these guys. See, here is an entire army. You'll see later, this entire army comes back to fight that we have to deal with. And if this was a closer match, it would matter a lot more, but it still matters because you're gonna have to fight these guys. So that's why we're charging down units like this that just came back, all right, and we're pursuing them, killing them further making them continue along out the door, not getting any funny business. And even these guys square, but it's just such a small unit, and this is such a powerful unit that it doesn't even stand a chance at that point. Usually you don't charge into squares. Okay, here we go. So Dragoons, those are C3 that we kind of repositioned a long time ago. Here they are. They're trying to gen snipe again. So these guys actually were really on top of it. And here we go. So luckily they didn't charge into their own general, but that general is now going off the battlefield. So although it doesn't decrease the morale for dying, they are not going to get the morale bonus, right, for the general. So each star the general has, the line infantry or whatever unit gets an extra bonus. So they're not going to get that. That wasn't necessarily a awesome trade, but a fair trade to take out the general. It did its duty, and this general might come back, but for the time being, it is gone. So that was a good flank attack, and you can see the repercussions of that earlier CAV charge, splitting them in half. On the right side, we have Austria just absolutely decimating the Imperial line. Okay, everything is split up, and then on the left side, okay, the British are doing the same exact thing. They are just whittling down this army as we split them in half and just absolutely destroy them with our line. So, but good preparation led to the battle and how it unfolded. And really, at this point, they stand literally no chance. I mean, there's still this entire army over here. Yes, I understand that. But even if they win that handedly, you have two full armies here, plus some more British that did well defending, and you can see the aftermath over there. But yeah, this is, I mean, I wish I focused a little bit more on the line, but I really wanted to focus in on the CAV. But look at this line. I mean, very healthy line. Let's see if they start. Oh yeah, these cannons are going to rip up some of the retreating infantry, and I'm all here for it. Okay, oh my gosh, yep, the body's flying. I know there's some better volleys from the battery later on, actually probably in about a second here, okay, that are just ripping into them. And all these shots matter, right, because they're going to end up, oh yeah, that is going to rip into them. But all these shots matter because they are, although they're pretty much defeated, they can come back. They definitely 100% can come back. And so this is part of the pursuit. We got some guys going into melee, and maybe unfortunately we missed some of the CAV shots or cannon shots, but I hope not. I hope we see some good ones on these retreating guys. I remember seeing a few, but you can also melee these guys. That works just as well. But really, whatever means at that point. Oh. Okay. Well, I don't even think that hit them, but still, it's an awesome visual, an awesome audio from that. I love the cannons. I'm a cannon nerd. I love cannons. I love CAV, and that's awesome. But yeah, they're getting ran down pretty handedly here. Still under all that fire. And then here is the returning army that decided, hey, you know what? Even though my entire center got demolished, let me come back and let's try fighting. Let's try killing their general or something. We could go home and be excited about that, at least, I guess, right? But yeah, so you can see the CAV still farming or, pursuing, I like to say, the routing infantry unit. So what's on there, and then the rest of this really is it is really just running down the rest of this infantry. And I'm not going to spoil, or I am going to spoil the rest of this video already. I mean, look, this is all the French, okay? So they have some over here in Prussia, which Prussia's really just been exchanging a little bit of fire, not too much on the left side, but holding their own, definitely delaying this enemy, and just really whittling them down, but not getting into any serious engagements. But yeah, that's what's left over here. There is literally nothing left in the middle. That has been completely decimated. And then off to the right side, you can see the continuation of that pursuit. I mean, they are just getting clobbered. I think I racked up about 3K kills on this, which, you know, is quite a lot of kills, but most of that was from routing enemy. Poor guys, they just wanted to go home, and we said nope. We said not today, buddies, because hey, they might run away and rejoin the fight, and that would not be good for our guys. So yeah, you have to die. I'm sorry, there's no way around it. But back over here, yeah, you have that contingency army that has returned to battle. Really, there's nothing that's going to happen here, but they're going to death march into all of this infantry that is going to be surrounding them. I mean, they're not even in contact at this point, and they're already wavering. Well, I guess they're cannons. That would be pretty scary. So, not to talk bad on this line infantry, but yeah, they don't stand much of a chance. But very valiant effort here. Alright, they're just taking shots. They need to at least, I mean, march forward and see if they can maybe kill a few guys. Oh, yeah, they are. They're like, no, don't send me into this mosh pit of gunfire and cannonballs. And looks like some CAV unit got a general over there. I'm not sure where it is, so I'm not gonna waste time zooming out. But yeah, they're just getting whittled down over here. Oh yeah. Some good volleys though. I mean, that was a good volley, and then they were like, all right, one good volley, I'm out. I'm out after that one. I can't stand here anymore. But yeah, they're just gonna get absolutely destroyed. Wow, yeah, I love the musket flash. The musket flash is actually really cool in this game too, and this game ran really smoothly, so it was fun listening to the muskets and all that in the battle. And this was really just satisfying. Just, oh, there you go. Oh my gosh, that whole unit is either dead or and they're like, yeah, not for me, brother, let me go. Wow, that was half the units on the ground. I don't know how you survive a cannonball shot. Okay, I think that might be a little bit unrealistic, but not many of them survived, let's put it that way. And then here we go, canister shot and that valiant charge. Yeah, no, you're not going to get away with that one, but that's okay. Well, hey, look, you guys, that is the battle. I'll leave it on this screen here, which, you know, they end up doing some crazy stuff over here, trying to make every last man count, but I'll just spoil it for you. They end up dying. I'm sorry. I gave it away. I know it was really intense here, you know, 4 against 1, but yeah, they end up losing that battle. So if you guys like this content, I'll take a second. Guys, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be posting so many more battle analysis. I'm going to be posting tutorials. I'm going to be posting reaction videos, all sorts of stuff in the coming months and weeks and days. Okay, so please like, follow, and subscribe to General Johnny Strategy if you want some more of that content. And also, thus far, I've been using a lot of content, or all content that I've been involved in, but I love commenting on other people's content too, other battles that you might have said, hey, I actually did really well in that battle. Send it in, I'll give a commentary on it, give you a tactical and strategic perspective of how you did, and hopefully it improves your game. Or if you just like the, again, awesome cannonballs and CAV charges like we saw today, then come on back to the channel and we will be here. Like and subscribe. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. That, again, this battle is going to be done. But yeah, quick recap of what we talked about. We talked about how to use the light CAV to scout and really conduct counter reconnaissance, taking out the enemy's light CAV as well. We talked about unsupported CAV charges. Okay, we also talked about where each of your CAV units, the different classifications of CAV units, where they should be on the battlefield, and kind of what their purpose is. We'll delve into it more later, I promise. But You saw some of those purposes like counter charges, scouting, fending off other scouts, and then as you saw in the middle, just the absolute destruction and penetration of the Imperial lines. Also gen sniping and pursuit of fleeing enemies so that you don't have to fight them later in the battle. So that is a quick review of what we went over. If you guys want me to focus on anything, if I missed anything, please like, subscribe, and comment so I know what exactly to go over next time. Again, until next time, it's been a pleasure. Have a great day. General Johnny signing out.